1980 editorial. I'm Dr. Nicolai Corte. Let's preserve Black land stories before they're lost forever. I want to personally invite you to be a part of something historic. As journalist in residence for the Black Land Lost Narrative Archive Project, I've joined forces with powerhouse attorney and social justice champion George Fothery, the man who helped make history by delivering justice to the Bruce family in Manhattan Beach, securing the first known return of land unjustly taken from Black owners by a local government. That victory was monumental, but it was just the beginning. For generations, Black families have acquired land through grit, faith, and determination, only to lose it through violence, legal loopholes, forced sales, and systematic racism. What's been taken goes far beyond dirt and deeds. It's the erasure of wealth, identity, and legacy. That's why we've launched the Black Land Lost Narrative Archive Project, a national effort to collect, protect, and preserve the stories of Black land lost before they're buried, forgotten, or erased altogether. Because there's power in telling Black stories, there is resistance in remembering, and there's justice in being seen and heard. This is where you come in. We're inviting you to be a part of this historic Black narrative archive. If you or someone you know has experienced land loss, displacement, or forced property sales, your story deserves to be heard and remembered. Your story belongs in this archive. Your truth matters not just to your family, but to our collective future. Visit blacklandlost.org today. Fill out our simple intake form and add your voice to the National Archive of Remembrance, Resilience, and Reckoning. Let's make these stories live on, not in whispers, but on the record. With a KBLA Talk 1580 editorial, I'm Dr. Nicolai Corte, and as always, we welcome your feedback.
White diamonds, 2 a.m. she wildin'. She sick, got they stomach in her comments. What school you went to? Gardena, Compton, Westchester, King, Drew, did we function? Lil, what that dog give me, that's on pup. All my kids are sucking up. Have you ever took a fade and ran 3 more back to back? Oh, you haven't? Then shut the up and keep it rap. I'm from the land. Don't say you hate LA when you don't travel past the 10. Am I tripping? Yes, I am. Meditate over some money. I see Franklin, I find Zen. I'm from the land. Don't say you hate LA, but live in LA and pretend. My neck on Tarantino, Alejandro Spike Lee. Just know you took the scenic route if you stand by me, stupid.
So fly in this 50 on me, don't die trying it. Warm up and down when I slide in this. Beamers and the jets outside in this. West side, get the money, yeah, that's for sure. Streets don't love you, better respect the code. Ain't no sleeping in on Sunday. If it's by the money, then my don't go.
When I walk in, oh yeah, break neck. It's unanimous, high pop.
When I walk in, better get in check. You looking at a bad, nothing less.
Walk, 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 tip-toe, pivot, walk, tip-toe.
KBLA Talk 1580. I think it's just a morning like that, Miles. It's a TGIF kind of a morning. If you want to say something about reparations, if you want to talk to me about your weekend, whatever you got going on, or if you're worried about what's going on or excited about what's going on in our nation, I would love to hear from you right now. 800-920-1580. 800-920-1580. That is the number. Oh, my. Did you see RFK on yesterday? Just talking smack. What is happening right now where you can just go and talk smack to U.S. senators and play in their faces? That's what Robert F. Kennedy Jr. did as he was defending himself against people who are calling for him to step the heck down. Yeah, he had tough questions from senators, but he was just, wow. Ooh. If Fix Your Face was a person. Even the Republicans, some of whom actually voted for him, were irritated as heck with this guy. And this is where I started this morning, because I get that I'm here for it if you, as a family want to make a decision, I don't want a COVID vaccine, or I don't want this vaccine or that vaccination. And although we know that in the long term according to scientists, it can bring some diseases back, because herd immunity comes about when more people are vaccinated and the disease can't spread. I get that. But I still believe you should have your personal freedom. But when you start taking people's options away, that's a whole different Oprah. And so we just recently saw Florida is going to eliminate all vaccine requirements in schools. And that's what it is. We'll see what happens. I don't have high hopes for that. I think if and look, my mama was one of the original anti-vaxxers, okay? She's always ahead of her time and stuff like that. So I'm familiar with the concerns. I'm also a person that tends to be evidence and science-based. I look at what does the data say. And there are states in our country, 4 states, 4 states, where you can only refuse vaccinations with a note from a doctor, medical advice. California is one of those states. Then there are other states that allow you to not take vaccines for personal reasons. That's that's just Minnesota. There's a whole bunch of them, most of them, where you can get out of taking vaccinations for religious reasons. That's the majority of the states. And then there's a number that are personal or religious. So to be honest, the majority of the country does have a way to get out of getting vaccinated if you don't want shots. Only Florida is talking about you don't need them at all. But to take away people's ability by saying now you can't get COVID vaccine even if you want it is something that folks are not happy about. If you work around a bunch of people who could be sick, if you have an older adult or immunocompromised person at home that you live with that you don't want to kill, if you yourself have pre-existing conditions, what they call comorbidities, all of these, including, by the way, obesity is one of them, then you may really want this shot. And now it's going to be difficult for you to get it. And see, here's the thing. When Kennedy was sworn in, when he was trying to get the job, not sworn in, when he was getting vetted for the job, he promised, I'm not going to take anyone's vaccines away. And now he's doing exactly that. So that's why it was such a contentious hearing. And I feel like what we saw was full on 5150, full on loco. I don't know what comes out of that. I don't see him stepping down. I don't see the president moving away from him, but that's where we are today. And I know the dead ones are turning over in their graves, and the ones that are still living are probably thinking, there goes our entire legacy. The president has asked the Supreme Court to overturn lower court decisions about his tariffs. The lower court said those are illegal. The president filed a petition this week to ask the Supreme Court to weigh in. Now that on his so-called Liberation Day, he put in place taxes between 10 to 50%, which are being paid by the American people. If the judge's decision holds and he finds that, and they find that those tariffs are illegal, the administration might have to pay back billions of dollars. So this is going to be a key win or loss for the president of the United States. Me personally, I don't have a lot of confidence that this extreme court will do anything other than be an amen corner for the president and his bizarro illegal moves. But we'll see. And that combined with the jobs report, that meaning these tariffs are finally starting to kick in. So we're barely seeing the beginning of the price increases. So I think that irritation over when you see COVID surging. Now people are saying, oh, I want to go get a shot. Oh, wait, you can't anymore. They used to be free. They're not anymore. You don't qualify unless you're over 65. Oh, wait, prices are going up. You said egg prices were going to go down, but then you impose a massive tariff tax on all these countries, which means we, the consumers, are paying that. So prices are actually going up. Now, as a woman, I'm less safe because I don't have a right to choose, and that lack of a right to choose is leaking over into even prenatal care and my ability to get help after I've had a miscarriage or a complication with my pregnancy. The overreach is real. That's why they want this gerrymandering. That's why California has to push back. That's why I'm going to keep saying yes on 50. We don't have too much time. The money is rolling in on the no side. Republicans found out that the courts are not going to help them, so they have no recourse but to spend goo gobs of money, and they're prepared to do it. So we have to be doing our part, spreading the word. If you want to support fighting back against Republican cheating in elections, then you're going to want to vote yes on 50. You're going to want to make sure all your friends and loved ones are registered, and you are going to want to make sure that California puts its thumb on the scale to fight back. So yeah, it's going to be a busy couple months. We have a special election coming up. That's the only ballot measure that will be on there. And so that will at least make it a little easier in that sense. I meant to tell you that the LA Civil Rights Department, Capri Maddox, was just on. They have a lot of different programs. If you feel you've been discriminated against on your job or in the streets, if you've been a victim of a hate crime or disrespected in a discriminatory way by a business, you can go to laisforeveryone.com. You can report it there if you prefer that to reporting to police. They also have something coming up October 25th called Law Day, which is making it easier for people, underrepresented groups, to become lawyers, to find out information on how to go to law school and how to move that career forward. You can go to laisforeveryone.com and get info. It's a virtual event, so you can find out how to connect online there. So lots of opportunities. While they're still there, we need to take them. Okay. Miles, did you ever, as a kid, play a ding-dong ditch where you ring a doorbell and run away? I know that was popular when I was young. It wasn't really when I was a kid, like a little kid. It wasn't something I did, but a lot of people I know did it.
I was semi-pro ding dong ditch.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, just
you
because
feel like a scholarship for like ding dong ditch, I'd have probably got like a scholarship to school. I was that kind of guy.
You were Dr. Ding Dong Ditch.
And what? McDonald's All-American ding dong ditch. What do you say? What?
So, and you do it because it's funny, right?
Yeah, hilarious. You damn kids ringing my it's hilarious.
So you ring the bell, you run away, the person gets mad, and you laugh, and that's the end of it. Now it's a TikTok challenge, and they call it the kick challenge or the ding dong ditch challenge. It's where they kick the door, knock on the door, and then they run away, right?
Yeah, I wouldn't do that now, but yeah.
Yeah, they're doing it, and they're getting it on camera, and they're putting it on TikTok and other places too, but mostly TikTok. So now there's this man in Texas who he's a 42-year-old guy. I guess this kid did ding dong ditch on him, a couple kids. And he came out the house, chased them down the street, and shot them. And this 11-year-old child is dead. I just cannot get my mind around what would make you so angry from a kid knocking on your door or ringing your doorbell and running away, they would chase them down the street and murder them.
Is he a cop?
Well, that hasn't come out yet. But what they did say, what investigators did say, is they found a lot of weapons in his house. So apparently he's a gun enthusiast. His name is Gonzalo Leon Jr. He was arrested, and he's facing a first-degree murder charge.
You should.
Apparently, there was a bunch of witnesses And they said the guy came out of the house and ran down the street. Now, I don't care what you say. 11-year-old is small.
Probably not that fast. So you probably didn't have to like full on like down the block catch this kid.
Right. And I'm just saying you knew you were shooting a kid.
Right.
Because an 11-year-old child is small. And so to me, I'm glad they got first-degree murder because that's what it is to me. And apparently the kids, had ding-donged a bunch of doors and ran away, but only one person came out and killed one of the children. That's crazy. Did you ever have an adverse reaction, like someone trying to beat you up or get you arrested or shoot at you?
A little too fast for that. I don't know. Maybe so. They probably did, but they never caught the boy. But like I say, it's a terrible time to be trying that stuff now. So I pray for the kids doing that type of stuff now. But yeah, that's crazy. What? You come out shooting?
Yeah.
Guns, blood. Like, so you came to the door with the gun in hand, ready to take care of business wherever it was. So yeah.
That's crazy. We got a lot to talk about. There's so much going on. 800-920-1580. Love to hear from you. I'm Dominique DiPrima. That's Miles Lowe. And we are KBLA Talk 1580.
The station you turn to when you've had it up to gear with cultural incompetence. KBLA Talk 1580.
With a KBLA Talk 1580 editorial, I'm Dr. Nicolai Corte. Let's preserve black land stories before they're lost forever. I want to personally invite you to be a part of something historic. As journalist in residence for the Black Land Lost Narrative Archive Project, I've joined forces with powerhouse attorney and social justice champion George Fothery, the man who helped make history by delivering justice to the Bruce family in Manhattan Beach, securing the first known return of land unjustly taken from black owners by a local government. That victory was monumental, but it was just the beginning. For generations, black families have acquired land through grit, faith, and determination, only to lose it through violence, legal loopholes, forced sales, and systematic racism. What's been taken goes far beyond dirt and deeds. It's the erasure of wealth, identity, and legacy. That's why we've launched the Black Land Lost Narrative Archive Project, a national effort to collect, protect, and preserve the stories of black land lost before they're buried, forgotten, or erased altogether. Because there's power in telling black stories, there is resistance in remembering, and there's justice in being seen and heard. This is where you come in. We're inviting you to be a part of this historic black narrative archive. If you or someone you know has experienced land loss, displacement, or forced property sales, your story deserves to be heard and remembered. Your story belongs in this archive. Your truth matters not just to your family, but to our collective future. Visit blacklandlost.org today. Fill out our simple intake form and add your voice to the National Archive of Remembrance, Resilience, and Reckoning. Let's make these stories live on, not in whispers, but on the record. With a KBLA Talk 1580 editorial, I'm Dr. Nicolai Corte, and as always, we welcome your feedback.
Yep, I'm looking at the pages right now.
Thomas's translation company just lost its only two Spanish speakers. Without the right replacements, he'll be in problemas.
Yeah, we'll have those ready. Tonight's gonna be a late one.
Indeed can help him hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. With Indeed Instant Match, we immediately show you quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed meet your sponsored job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Thanks for waking up with Dominique DiPrima on KBLA Talk 1580.
Yeah, so apparently this ding dong ditch thing has become a problem. And somebody said, become a problem for the people doing it, right? In terms of being attacked. And Edward Courtney says you can't play child's games in a society gone mad. That's well said. Apparently in July, another homeowner in Texas was arrested, charged with aggravated assault because he fired rounds at a vehicle leaving his home after a ding-dong ditch. What kid has a vehicle that they can... I guess maybe the parent or an older teen was doing it. Whatever. They drove away. They shot into the car, and that homeowner was charged with aggravated assault. And then in June, in Arizona, there was footage of a group of teenagers who were doing what they call the door kicking challenge, which is ding-dong ditch. And they said they did that prank so many times on that one house, 18 times, that the homeowner actually moved. I'm sorry, you can bang on my door 18 times. I ain't moving. You bang on my door 18 times, I am not moving.
So, kick doors and ding dong dick sound like two completely different things, though.
It's a version of ding dong.
Yeah, I mean, we are seeing people get their doors kicked in, though, literally kicked in and ran down on in their own house. So I'm not saying I understand you chasing people and gunning down children with that, but I do understand you being on alert as soon as you hear your door start getting kicked. I
Ain't
get
no
that.
11-year-old kicking down your door. That ain't. I mean, the door is not in danger of being kicked down.
I get you, and it's context for sure, but
I'll tell you one thing. If you kicked my door or knocked on my door 18 times, I'm not saying I wouldn't do anything. I won't shoot you.
Right.
I'll probably go talk to some of the homies in the neighborhood and say, hey, can you tell these kids to get off my door?
Right.
Because we keep us safe. You know what I mean? I'm not going to call the police. I'm not going to shoot you, but I'm going to look for some neighborhood accountability.
get your son on them.
Somebody. But I'm not moving.
Moving.
Maybe it's easier to find a new place in Texas. You're not going to run me out of my house. That's not what we're doing. Okay. Speaking of cops, I don't know if you know who Laverne Cox is. She's a transgender superstar, really. She's an actress, host, model, and she's probably the most famous transgender activist in the world. She's very beautiful. She is very popular, and she's been very outspoken for trans rights, right? Well, she revealed recently that she was dating a white guy. She's black, by the way. She was dating a white guy, blonde-haired, blue-eyed, MAGA Republican voter who is also a New York City cop. And the internet went crazy. A lot of people were angry at her because she's a trans advocate. She's dating MAGA. MAGA, of course, one of their big, talking points, one of their big ways they get over is by attacking transgender people, demonizing them and such. So people were angry at her for dating this MAGA guy. And I guess they're angry at dating a cop because MAGA cop Republican is a profile. I mean, it sounds like a January 6th coup attempter, right? And so here's the question. Is it incumbent upon activists to date their politics? Is it incumbent upon famous people to date their images? It would be like me dating a MAGA guy, or
a cop.
Well, yeah, or a cop, right? Not that let me be clear. I don't categorically hate cops, but I am an activist against state-sanctioned violence. I am working with Black Lives Matter. I have been for years and years and years. That's not anything new for me. I am, very critical of policing. So would I be a whole hypocrite, or is the personal political, or is it separate? I mean, that would be like you dating a woman who hates rap, who hates hip hop, or maybe you dating Fonnie Willis, who had jailed a bunch of, or tried to jail a bunch of artists on RICO charges right there in Atlanta. Is that fair game? That's your personal life? It has nothing to do with your politics or your profession? Or were they right to call her out and say, you know what, you got to walk the walk. You can't just talk the talk.
I believe you should walk the walk. But man, it's 2025. Why are we so butthurt on people's dating lives and what they got going on? There's so much going on. I don't think we need to really worry about that. So I do think you should date based off what be true to what Martin Luther King said. Be true on what you said on paper.
Right. Well, okay. Cavett says, that Cox is playing stop and frisk. Okay, you got jokes. And Moore says if there's a burning cross on my front yard, that would make you reconsider moving. If there's a burning cross on my front yard, that's not the same as ding dong ditch or what Cavett says they called it knock knock zoom zoom, whatever you call it. That's not the same. Would I move? Well, I live in a black neighborhood, so if they were burning a cross on my lawn, it wouldn't be time for me to move. I would take the Ida B. Wells approach to burning cross. You know, she said that every black home should have a weapon, a gun specifically, and she wasn't talking about shooting ding dong ditch kids. White supremacists, that's another story. I'm for self-defense. If you burn a cross on my lawn, that can burn down my home. That can burn down my whole neighborhood. So there we go. That's self-defense. No. That's different. That's not a pivot for me. You know, kids do kid stuff. That's what they do. I didn't do ding dong ditch, but I did other stuff that probably would get me shot today. We used to drop water balloons. That was the thing.
With a freeway?
Well, it wasn't a freeway, but yeah, by the road, you know.
Okay.
Yeah, because I was out in the country during that time. But no, I mean, and Paul says some things are deal breakers. I agree. I have dated people, men. I shouldn't say people because I'm old fashioned. Not that doesn't be by old fashioned. I don't mean that I'm against you being LGBTQ plus whatever. It just means I'm just a vanilla cisgender girl.
Being specific.
Yeah, being specific. I have dated men, and I know so many black women in this position because some of our men have gone MAGA, or even if they're not full MAGA, they've gone pro-Trump, or you don't agree with them. I don't feel like you have to agree with your significant other on every single thing. But if you got a hood in your closet, you know what I'm saying? If your very existence is threatened by their philosophy, as James Baldwin once famously said, we can disagree, but if your beliefs actually impede on my ability to be safe and alive, that's where I would draw the line. Paul says I've dated a Trumpist before. I have dated a man who was, you know, he wasn't there when we started dating, but started moving toward MAGA. And I know so many black women who have. And for some, in fact, I even know one that's married to one. They don't talk politics. A lot of the women, it's like, well, or it's like dating a man that believes every conspiracy theory. A lot of black women are in that position. What do you do? 800-920-1580. It's time for news, traffic, and sports, and we'll keep it going only right here.
She's reclaiming her time on KBLA Talk 1580. More First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. President Trump says he may declare a national housing emergency, blaming high interest rates in federal chair Jerome Powell.
We need a little help from the Fed. We have a man named Jerome Too Late Powell. You probably heard of him. He's too late.
Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent said the move could help lower costs by easing zoning laws, cutting tariffs, and boosting housing supply. Black couple Marcus Ragland and Ashley Brooke Hawkins, parents of 7 from Rome, Georgia, died in an ATV crash at Indian Mountain Park in Alabama. Ragland was driving and all 7 children survived, but were injured, some airlifted to hospitals. The crash happened Sunday in Cherokee County. And NBA star James Harden's Houston restaurant 13 has been shut down over more than $2 million in unpaid rent and expenses. A sign on the door says the locks were changed. Harden had guaranteed the lease, but the restaurant hasn't responded to inquiries. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Saving money on tires and auto repair services is a big deal. That's why Big O offers a low price guarantee on tires with big deals like this. Now buy 3 select tires, get the 4th tire free with paid installation during our September to Remember. Now at Big O Tires.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Chargers played their NFL regular season opener tonight against the Kansas City Chiefs in Sao Paulo, Brazil. Tonight is the first NFL regular season game shown exclusively on YouTube. YouTube is a new broadcast partner with the NFL. You have to be a YouTube subscriber to watch the game. 5 p.m. kickoff from Corinthians Stadium. Clippers owner Steve Ballmer denied allegations that he tried to bypass the NBA salary cap rules. Ballmer is under investigation by the NBA for a $28 million deal Kawhi Leonard had with Aspiration, a now bankrupt banking company. Ballmer said he introduced Leonard to Aspiration, but claims he had no knowledge of their agreement. Leonard never did any work for Aspiration. If the NBA proves that Ballmer used Aspiration to provide more money for Leonard, Ballmer and the Clippers could face serious penalties from the NBA. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
It's never too early to start talking about money in realistic ways with your kids. JP Morgan Chase navigates how to educate your kids now about creating long-lasting, healthy money habits. Whether your kids are in elementary school, high school, or college, now is a great time to start a conversation about ways to create healthy money habits as they grow, ultimately benefiting their financial future. Talking about money in a realistic way to support your kids' lifestyle and dreams, your first banking account geared towards high school or college. It's never too early. Explaining the basics, what you earn and what you spend, building financial confidence starts with getting organized. Learning and practicing vital money skills now will stay with them for life. Tools they will have to stay on top of their finances and achieve their goals. This segment is sponsored by JP Morgan Chase.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Hi, I'm Chuck McDowell, the timeshare cancellation guy. In 2011, I founded Wesley Financial Group with one goal in mind: to help honest folks out of their timeshares permanently. Today, I run Wesley with my two sons, a real family business, treating every client and every employee like we'd want our own family treated. That philosophy has helped us grow into the largest, most trusted timeshare cancellation company in the United States. Fortune magazine even recognized us as one of the best places to work. Why? Because we genuinely care. In fact, some of our former clients were so moved by their experience working with us, they joined our team so they could help others to timeshare freedom. If you're stuck in a timeshare, give us a call. Let our family help your family.
Call Wesley now for your free timeshare exit kit. 800-687-7979. That's 800-687-7979. 800-687-7979.
What make you? Yeah.
The California Crusader newspaper would like to thank all of our subscribers for their support throughout the years, proudly serving the South Los Angeles and South Bay areas for more than 40 years. The California Crusader is a multicultural, black-owned, adjudicated newspaper that focuses on providing newsworthy information to the people in our community. We're constantly looking for ways to assist businesses in our community to connect with our subscribers. We provide low-cost, effective ways to promote your business with our reasonable and affordable advertising rates. You can participate by suggesting, sharing, and submitting your stories on the California Crusader newspaper Community Share Facebook group page, or visit our website at cal-cruise-news.com. That's calcruisenews.com. Then click on the Submit Now button located on the top right corner of the homepage, or text CCN to 42828. Again, text CCN to 42828. The California Crusader newspaper, working together to build a better community for our future. Subscribe today.
Find a righteous rage and don't be afraid to say what you see. We're KBLA Talk 1580.
Yeah, one more thing on this Laverne Cox situation, Miles. It reminds me of what you said about Cardi B, you know, in her court case and her struggle. Although she is making me laugh right now, so I give her props for that. She was talking about being a single mother, and if you don't buy my album, I'm going to have to give up my Rolls Royce, and what will I do? But anyway, It's interesting that the Cox confession about her having this MAGA cop boyfriend coincides with her promoting her one-woman show.
Ah.
So, yeah, there you have it. She has a one-woman stage show that she's touring with. But it's true. I don't think she was expecting the clap back that she got. And she was saying, oh, well, she was saying that being prejudiced against MAGA is like being prejudiced against trans. No, it's not. No, it's not. Being MAGA is a choice. Being fascist is a choice. So I think she lost a bunch of fans on that. And it just reminded me of you, because you always say they do all these things to promote stuff.
Oversharing, and like, this is your path, this is your ex. You're not talking about something you're doing right now. You brought it up because I think that's going to get you some
clicks,
attention on the back end.
To be honest, I think she sounded like she still loves the guy, because she was defending him, trying to humanize him and all that. I don't know, maybe she it might be an on again, off again.
Then don't apologize and act like you're like, oh, so remorseful for posting it or whatever, or act like you're conflicted with it. If you still love it, then say that too.
Yeah, just say, I am dating a MAGA
I'm in love with a MAGA. Say it like that.
I'm in love with a MAGA. That sounds like a terrible song. So Elon Musk could become the first trillionaire in the world because the Tesla board of directors has unveiled a pay package for him. They say that'll help keep him focused. I wish, can you imagine? You over here at the White House doing dumb stuff, losing customers, losing fans, making people angry, making people not want to buy Teslas, and what do you get? A raise. 423 million additional shares of Tesla stock worth 143 billion at today's valuation. So he can, as a result of this deal, become the first trillionaire. Will this focus him? I doubt it. You're rewarding my bad behavior. Why would I focus? Wow. Some people just get to fail up, fail up, fail up. The unemployment rate for black folks, here's a little treat hidden in the jobs report. The unemployment rate for black workers in the U.S. is now 7.5%. That is the highest level since 2021. And it has been jumping for the past 2 months. Went from 6 to 6.8 to 7.2, 7.5. The trend line is not good. If you look at what's happening with black women, it's specifically and insanely steep, the rate at which we're losing our jobs. Remember those black jobs the president talked about? Well, they are not going to be yours much longer at this rate. U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement raided a Hyundai plant in Georgia. They have arrested over 450 people, according to the BBC. Most of these people supposedly were Korean. We'll see. Maybe they're trying to push back on the idea that they're being accused of racial profiling. But this was ICE along with ATF and other agencies. The Korean ministry made a statement about it, saying that they want to make sure people's rights aren't being infringed upon. But this is happening at the same time that South Korean companies have to pay billions of dollars. Well, it's really us that are going to pay it, but they're paying billions of dollars in investments because they want to avoid tariffs. Of course, that will be passed on to you and I in prices should you happen to pay that. But this is a huge bit of ICE theater. I call it ICE theater because the thing that always trips me out is despite all of these arrests of U.S. citizens and the taking away of visas, the changing of people's status where they were legal on Wednesday and illegal on Thursday, the actual deportation numbers are still not higher than Biden. So it's the harassment, the taking away of people's rights, the threatening, the sending them to different countries and jurisdictions. That's what's changed. he's actually not keeping his campaign promise of sending more people out. What he is actually doing is harassing people and jailing people and breaking up families and abridging their rights and scaring kids at school campuses and getting rid of much needed workers. But when you look at the actual numbers of people that are kicked out of the country, it's not higher than Biden. That's wild, though. We'll see what they have in store. Now, you may have heard, it was all over the internet, that the U.S. government is suing Edison, the power company, over the Eaton Canyon fire, the Altadena fire. SoCal Edison federal prosecutors announced that lawsuit on yesterday. And it sounds good on paper, like, yeah, go U.S. government, suing them. Well, here's the thing, though, if we read between the lines. And by the way, this is brought by fake reparationist, former California Assemblyman Bill Asaley. Well, the investigation isn't done, which is noted in that legal action. But how are you suing before we even know what happened and before the investigation is complete? That's question number one. Question number two, the government wants $40 million. If they wipe out all the money from SoCal Edison, if the company goes belly up and they have no more resources, does that mean all of these individual lawsuits and group lawsuits by Eaton Altadena victims will never get paid because the government rushes in and gets their money first? Think about that. You've got all these law firms representing individual homeowners, and for some it may be their last chance to rebuild because they either don't have insurance or they're underinsured, and the amount they're getting from their insurance company will not cover the cost of rebuilding. So that money from SoCal Edison, that from that lawsuit or settlement, would make up the difference for them to be able to rebuild? Well, if all of Edison's money is gone because Bill Asaley gave it to the federal government so they can pay for whatever follies they're doing, that could actually end up screwing over the homeowners. So what sounds good on paper may not be so good when we look at the real possibility of Edison going belly up. The government wants more than $40 million in damages. They want to repay the fire service, the Forest Service, for what they spent. They want to repay the money in fire suppression costs. And of course, I'd love to see that happen. But for me, it's more important to see the homeowners be able to rebuild. We don't want a surge in homelessness. We don't want the historically diverse and heavily African American black community of Altadena to be unable to rebuild, in part because the government got their money first. Don't agree with that at all. So I think it is very interesting that they've decided to go ahead and do this, that they've decided to sue even though the investigation isn't done, to elbow their way to the front of the line with their hand out for $40 million. Let's go to Jerry calling us from Beverly Hills. Hello, Jerry.
Oh, hi, Jude. I'd like to ask, how do you fight an enemy that has no targets, like the Taliban, when all you could do is bomb trees?
Okay, so Jerry, for those who do not know you, Jerry has Parkinson's, and sometimes it's hard to understand his articulation, not because he's drunk or because he is slow, but because he is fighting a physical disease. And I think what I heard you say, and I think some days it's more pronounced than others, because some days it's easier to understand your articulation, Jerry, than others. I think what he asked was, how do you fight an enemy that doesn't have a clear face? And the example he used was the Taliban. By the way, there was a huge earthquake in Afghanistan, so the Taliban right now is probably fighting to get their people out of the rubble, and they're calling on help from the international community. But I think a more apt example would be something like the war on terror or the war on drugs, right? Those are concepts. Even Antifa, the right likes to say, oh, we're fighting Antifa. Antifa is not an organization. It's a concept, anti-fascism. You can't fight a concept. What you can do is look at the impacts. You could try to educate people to move them away from dumb ideas. You can fight the policies and positions that the folks that follow that philosophy take. You can try to get rid of war on drugs or war on poverty policies that actually end up hurting people in our community specifically. So that's how I would answer that, Jerry. I hope you're feeling better. The articulation is just a little tougher today than some other days. Edward Courtney says in the chat, the truth is stop putting people on the back burner. Reparations are owed. I couldn't agree with you more. And that's why I was, when I was talking with Attorney Capri Maddox and others, not just her, pretty much every reparations conversation I have with a lawmaker or someone in a position to move the issue forward, I'm always saying, we're not going to have the money at once. We don't have the money at once for many things. So we can do it incrementally. We can put a policy or a plan in place that allows it to happen over years or decades. And that's where we are with reparations. And I think that Attorney Maddox had a good point, too, about how this massive reparations report from the city of LA is now available in its entirety online. That is a record upon which we can build programs, payments, other kinds of policy positions and agendas that we want to take because we have this foundation of data. It always starts with a study. Well, in the city of LA, or mostly it does, and in the city of LA, we can now say our study is completed. It's supposed to go to the city council within the next few months before the end of the year. And we have a way of moving forward on a solid foundation. It's not too late to call me. Let's talk for the weekend, 800-920-1580. I'm Dominique DiPrima. And this is unapologetically progressive, unapologetically outspoken. You're home away from home, KBLA Talk 1580.
More of First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
Asthma Peak Week is almost here, September 14th through 20th, and it's one of the most dangerous times of the year for asthma flare-ups. Did you know that Black Americans are about 5 times more likely than white Americans to end up in the emergency room due to asthma? This is an important reminder to be informed, prepared, and proactive. If you or someone you care for has asthma, now's the time to get ready. Make sure medications are filled and not expired. Review your asthma action plan with your doctor or care team. This is also the time to talk with your doctor about your triggers, monitor your symptoms closely, and double-check inhaler technique to ensure you are using all prescribed medications correctly. Caregivers, make sure your child's school or daycare has their rescue medications and know what to do in an emergency. Stay aware, have a plan, and spread the word because your health matters. For more active asthma care tips, visit luma-edu.com. This message is brought to you by Amgen and AstraZeneca.
My mom has decided to learn to paint, and she's good.
My dad's now into creative cuisine, and I've already put on 6 pounds.
Learning new things comes with age.
My mom, she started forgetting my name and what we're talking about.
Forgetting well-known things doesn't. Memory loss may be a sign of Alzheimer's disease. Early detection gives you and your loved one time to plan for the future. Learn the warning signs of Alzheimer's at 10signs.org. Brought to you by the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 reminds you, when we fight, we win. The Youth Justice Coalition is challenging America's addiction to incarceration and discrimination. YJC works to dismantle policies leading to mass incarceration, law enforcement violence, and the school-to-prison pipeline. Their approach, transformative justice, community intervention, free LA high school, legal defense, and system monitoring. YJC promotes safety without relying on prisons. Their goal, prevent system contact and help people exit the system through direct direct action, advocacy, and education. Want to get involved or need help? Call 323-235-4243. That's 323-235-4243. Join YJC in creating change. When we fight, we win. KBLA Talk 1580, your voice for justice. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
The conversation continues right now with Dominique DiPrima on First Things First.
Man almighty. It is a new day, and I was thinking last night how no matter how crazy things get, we can and will bounce back. But it's, as we see more and more of these changes, the defunding of universities, the defunding of science and research, the attitude that was on display when RFK was in front of Congress yesterday, dissing senators and dissing science. All of these things are going to take a minute to fix, a long minute. And so, I mean, I think it's important, and I keep saying we're taking a pledge of courage. All of us need to I take every day a pledge of courage. Courage is contagious. We need to spread it around to remember that we went through the McCarthy era where they were calling everyone communist and putting them in jail for it, ruining their lives and careers. We went through the Dred Scott era where the Supreme Court, the extreme court, said there is no rights that a black man has in this country, which, the courts have to recognize. And we've had many a dark chapter. We had the post-Reconstruction and the presidency of Andrew Johnson. We've had many a problem chapter, and we've emerged. We've come out of it, and we've moved forward. Now, this, seems unlikely and difficult in this phase, but I just want to remind us of that because I think we will come out of this. So the thing to do is plan how to come through it in the best possible way for you and your family. And this jobs report, the unemployment numbers, particularly the layoff numbers among black Americans, and then the pressure on small businesses because of the tariffs, right, and rising prices, mean that we more than likely are looking at tough economic times for the next 2, 3, who knows how many years. If you remember, during the campaign, Elon Musk even admitted that his Doge cuts and some of the other policies they were talking about would create pain. He called it short-term pain for the American people. Who knows what short-term means? But that pain is now. And the problem is, for the very rich, the Trumps of the world, they're not going to feel it. They're not going to notice whether eggs are $5 or $10. You and I will feel it. And that's why, like my friend Marie Deary from Wealth Management Financial Advisors always says, cash is king. Now's the time to hang on to our cash, not charge a whole bunch of stuff. I'm going to have to wean myself off of DoorDash and start being really responsible about how we spend our money and the decisions that we're making. It's not the time for frivolous purchases. It is not the time to finance big items unless you really need to, because the canary in the coal mine is the jobs report. Canary in the coal mine is saying, something ain't right in this economy. And I feel like, most of us lived through 2008. You don't have to be that old to have lived through the Great Recession. The Bush crash of '08 is what I call it. When suddenly your house was worth less, so equity that you believed you had was gone, or suddenly if you had refinanced into a terrible loan, you could not get out of it because the market had changed and your equity wasn't there. So now you were stuck in whatever deal you had, or people lost their homes. A lot of people lost their houses. And the people who lost the most wealth, the data show, are black people. Okay? So this is the time for us to say, what lessons did I learn from 2008? Or what lessons did my mom or dad learn? And one of those lessons was circle your wagons, right? Anticipate. Don't take on debt. Hold on to your assets. Offload any expenses that you can offload that you don't really need. And that doesn't mean you have to freak out, by the way. It just means we have to be smarter. And we have to, I always say it's like parenting ourselves with our own money. Just be smarter. It's not the time to be frivolous. We've got to make it through the next, 3.5 years, 3.25 years. And we've got to come out the other side ready to fix stuff. Now, hopefully some stuff will get fixed. I mean, it's all about the money right now for Prop 50. Well, I shouldn't say all about the money because part of it is about us spreading the word. But Gavin Newsom, well, actually Democrats and Republicans are looking to spend $200 million in this November election. And it's all about that gerrymandering. It's all about trying to keep Republicans honest. Keep them from cheating in 2026 so we can stop the bleeding, so we don't have to keep sliding for another 3 years. We could at least kind of have some checks and balances with the Congress given the opportunity, should we win back a majority, to stop some of the more lousy ideas and policies that these folks have in store for us. And it's not about red versus blue, MAGA versus progressive at that point. I mean, you could break it down that way. But when you talk about your money, your household well-being, I remember in 2008, I was mad at Bush, but the thing is, my focus was on how do I make sure my family is taken care of? How do we keep our house? How do we make sure we can cover our bills and groceries? And that's where we're fixing to be based on what we're seeing in the economy right now. No matter who Trump fires to try to cover it up this time, the numbers don't lie. Well, it's been a great, if short, week. The best of Tavis Smiley is up next with station owner Tavis Smiley. He had some incredible guests this week, so this is going to be a very, very, very great edition of the best of Tavis Smiley. I'll be available to talk to you online. I'm at DiPrima Radio, DiPrima, and then radio. Active on TikTok now, Instagram, mostly those two, but I am on X and other places as well. The station is at KBLA 1580 everywhere. And by the way, I have a YouTube channel. Please subscribe. Please like, please follow. Like my mama used to say, history is now, and we are making it together. Until next time, one love.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.